Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. And I have a confession to make. I have never seen this movie, Groundhog Day, all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces on the TV, but never all the way through. So, this is my first time watching the whole movie. And I want to say I'm a little underwhelmed. It's not a bad movie. I liked it. It just. I have a few issues with it. The first being that it goes on for too long. This movie is an hour and 40 minutes or so, and it feels like you could have cut some stuff out. Like, you know the basic premise of a Groundhog Day type film. You've seen this or Happy Death Day or anything related to this. You know that it's usually about a guy or a person, I should say, who is a terrible person, acts like a jerk, whatever. Eventually, by the end, they change their ways. And then it ends with Happy Death Day. There's a murder involved. So that's got to put in, I guess you got to solve the murder. But this one, he changes his ways, but it's still implied there were more, you know, what's the word? There were more repeats, like he relives the day again over and over again afterwards. So I don't know. It's very weird to me how they do that. Also, there's no explanation for this, and in movies like this, I guess you don't need an explanation, but having an explanation can kind of tell the viewer how it ends. I mean, there's been theories that it was uh, Rita that was putting him through this. I guess the original script had her also being in the loop. I don't know how that would have worked, but I don't know. This movie stars Bill Murray, Annie McDowell, Chris Elliott, and is directed by Harold Ramis. No, Jan. It's directed by Harold Ramis. Yeah. And it tells the story of Phil Connors, a weatherman who goes to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania for the annual Groundhog Day. I almost said Godfather Day. I had to tell myself not to say it. Groundhog Day celebration, which he hates. But upon waking up the next morning, he finds that he is reliving the same day over and over again. Which I guess I should have started with the explanation, but and yeah, this was the first movie to come out like this, so I understand. But in subsequent films, they really hammer home the stuff that is going to keep repeating. You get some things, like he runs into Stephen Tobolowsky's character Ned. There's the stepping in the puddle. There's the homeless guy asking for money. There's a whole the little loop, where he walks up and there's the homeless guy, and then he runs into Ned, and then he steps in the puddle. That's the thing. Whereas subsequent movies, like say Happy Death Day, have a little bit of a longer kind of loop thing going, where she wakes up and she leaves, and you have the person with the sunglasses she bumps into, the person with asking for to sign the petition, there's the guy that falls asleep, there's the sprinklers turning on, all that. There's more than just three things like there is here. So, meaning this is one of the earlier stuff, I can forgive that, but there's a sudden tone change partway through the film where it starts out as a quirky comedy where Bill Murray is reliving the same day over and over again, and he starts realizing that, and he just starts getting away with stuff, and he's dating women without consequence, and he's doing that, and then all of a sudden it turns into a romantic comedy with him and Andy McDowell, and I'm sitting there going, when this happened? I mean, it kind of hints at it when he's making out with Nancy, who, by the way, is played by the mom from Lucky the Irish. I'm like, what do I know her for? And I looked it up. I'm like, son of a bitch, she's the mom from the Irish. And she's in there. And as they're making out, he keeps saying Rita instead of Nancy, and I'm like, why is he saying her name? Like, they have this thing when he first meets her where it's like love at first sight, oh, that he gives her, but there's really no connection other than that, and they don't hint at it until here where he keeps saying Rita, and it's like, what? That they probably should have played more with the flirting thing. Like he's, you know, I don't know. It's very confusing, and then just sort of from then on, he just tries to get with her and repeating the day over again. At one point, he does tell her what's going on, and points out all the things. It's kind of weird though how they do it. At one point, he gives up and decides he's going to keep killing himself, which he just makes relive the day. And again, I feel like in subsequent ones, like Supernatural's Mystery Spot, they would just keep replaying the song over and over again, but it doesn't do that. It shows him kill himself in the toilet, in the bathtub with a toaster, cuts to him doing something else, jumping in front of a car. Next, he's on top of the building, he falls down, and they show his body. And that's another thing, is that there are a couple times where it's like, okay, why are we continuing on after he died? Like, when he jumps off a building, they show Eddie McDowell and Chris Elliott the body. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. They know this is the first movie to do this, but I've seen other things. It's their consciousness. It's his consciousness that's reliving this day. So as soon as he can no longer be conscious, it should reset. We shouldn't see a scene of them looking at his dead body, because as soon as he dies, it should reset. And I know this was the first movie to do this. A lot of other stuff that did this would change that, and it makes a lot of sense later. Maybe like, oh, Groundhog Day did the thing. It makes more sense if when he died, that's when it restarts. So, yeah, the Sonny and Cher song repeating. They don't. I thought I was going to get annoyed because I knew the song was in there. But they don't do the thing where it keeps replaying over and over and over again. They do one little thing where he's smashing the hell out of the thing and it keeps popping up. Yeah. And, yeah, but eventually he becomes a good person. And this is where I think the movie becomes a little long in the tooth, because he becomes a good person, he starts helping people, but it doesn't end. He spends the night with her, with Rita, and then he wakes up and she's gone. And I'm like, wait, that should be it. No, he goes about doing other things. He learns how to play piano. He's still helping people. He's becoming very known for just being there for one day. And that's what raises the question, is how long has he been going in the loop? And according to Hal Ramis, 30 to 40 years is the time that he's been going around in a loop. Yikes. Yikes. I'm just saying that, But, yeah, it's at this point where I'm just like, how much of this movie is left? There's like 20 minutes left. Come on, what? Why? Why are we doing this? As soon as he starts making amends and things have changed, it should be over. But no, we go through this whole thing. We see one day where he's helping a bunch of people out. He saves Brian Doyle Murray, his brother, from choking on a steak. And he becomes the talk of the town. And yeah. And then he... It's like a goddamn door. Then he... he gets with her and he wakes up in the bed with her the next day. There's no explanation for it. So you think the moral of the story is he has to become a better person. And so he becomes the talk of the town, I guess, but it takes him a few more loops to do that, which is confusing to me. Very much so. And then he says, after living for 30 to 40 years, I guess maybe if that's 30 to 40 years, as he says, maybe that's why he's like, I want to stay here. And there's a big problem with this. Not him staying there, but she just kind of smiles, and they're together. You met him 2 days ago, lady. And he said, I want to live here. We'll get an apartment. We'll rent. Whatever. We'll rent. And he basically wants to spend the rest of his life with this woman. Like, during one loop, he tells her that he loves her, and she freaks out. And he's basically doing the same here. Now he wants to live with her in this place. And because we got to end the movie, it just ends. And I'm like, oh, wait. What? Like, she's just accepting this because it's the end of the movie. And it's like, no, she wouldn't accept this. She'd still be questioning him. as to why he's all of a sudden, it's very confusing to me. But I think Bill Murray was a great choice. Apparently, this was the end of the working relationship between him and Harold Ramis. They had a falling out during this, and they worked together again, unfortunately, and never got to make up, I don't think, before Ramis' death. Ramis himself has a cameo in the film as a neurologist checking him out towards the beginning of the film, where it starts a quirky comedy before it becomes the romantic comedy that it becomes. And I don't mind romantic comedy elements in a film. I feel like they should have toned that down and like there's a point where he's killing himself and becomes really morbid and dark. People say it's a fun comedy, but there's a point where he's basically killing himself, and he declares to her, "I am a god," and then tells her everything. I don't think the god thing should have been mentioned. This because he tried to tell her about the going around, and then look before she didn't believe him, and now there's certain things that he knows everything that's gonna happen, every single thing. And he goes everywhere. He saves this kid from the falling to his death from a tree. He saved, there's the lead scene where he saves a girl from getting hit by a truck. There's a bunch of stuff, but and then there's even more morbid. He's trying to kill himself, but morbid. The homeless man. He finds out the homeless man ends up dying every night, and he can't do anything about it. He tries, but he can't, because that's the end of his life. And he's forced to relive the same day over and over again, and that happens. And yeah, I don't know. It just didn't. I guess this just didn't hit me the way that it hit other people. I thought it was okay. I'm giving it the middle of the road. I don't know. Bill Murray was great. I felt like the whole love interest thing wouldn't work. Like, even in like Happy Death Day, like they just met. And he's been in this loop and he's fallen in love with her because he spent all these dates with her and stuff. In her mind, she only just met him 2 days ago. And at the end of the movie, he's like, okay, I think we should move here. And we'll rent to start with. And I'm just like, why isn't she running away from him going, leave me the hell alone? I met you 2 days ago. And you already want commitment. I don't know. I don't know. It's really weird. But yeah, it's the middle of the road for me. But I'm glad I finally reviewed this because it's been a long time coming. Happy Groundhog Day to you if you're watching this when it comes out. I'm putting this up on the 2nd of February. There it is. And then, well, actually, wouldn't be. I was going to make an announcement about my filming, but wouldn't make sense to do it now, as this is coming out on the 2nd. I'll do a short, which you probably would have seen. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Groundhog Day? Let me know how much love me, share, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty. I'll see you in the next one. Whatever.